for this video, we are going to set up an HMI screen. We are going to network it into with a PLC, and we will go through the simple setup parameters for the HMI, and then we'll just do a small little design screen, just to show some basic functionality of it to set it up. So for the project, this one we're using the FX5 CPU, which we have, you can see down the bottom of the screen here, we have that network in through a switch here, and we're using the Mitsubishi GOT 2000, one of the GOT 2000 range HMIs. For the, again, it's networked into the system here as well, and we will have to assign an IP address to it and that, so we'll go through that setup as well. Okay, so I've just opened up GT Designer in the screen here. I haven't started a project or anything, so we'll start a new project and we'll go through the simple setup on it. There's a good few screens that pop up in front of us as we walk through the wizard here, but there's only a couple of settings that we need to change, so we'll have a look at those. Okay, so this is the first one here, so just click next on that. So the first thing we have to do is select which type of GOT screen we have. So there is a model number on them. It's generally printed on the back of them on the label. Okay, so you just need to find that model number and put that in. So we're in the 2000 series. The one I have is a 2107W, so we'll just select that from the list here. And then version 2, the GOT graphic, that's what we have there. Nothing else to change there, so just click next on that. This is just a confirmation of what we've just said there. Okay, and then here we're going to set up the communications, so select a controller to connect to the GOT, so that's the PLC we're going to use. Okay, so it's a Mitsubishi one. You can select other ones there as well, just to click them in. We're using the Mitsubishi, and it's the IQF. Again, it's an FX series PLC that we're using. Okay, so we just click next on that. Ethernet multi-connection will do us fine for the moment. And the other option there is to go through RS-233 or 485. Okay, we're using the Ethernet connection again, as I said. And we can set up the Mitsubishi driver details here, the ports, that kind of stuff. We don't need to get into any of that, so we'll just click next and go past that. And again, that's just a confirmation screen that we're using Ethernet, and it's a IQF PLC that we're using. Again, we click next on that. So this one then is the IP address for the GOT itself, so the GOT, the graphic operation terminal. Okay, so I am using my little network plan here. So my HMI, I'm going to use 192.168.3.50 as the IP address for this guy. So 192.168.3. and we just change that to 50. My subnet mask is 255.255.0, and you don't need a default gateway in here, so that's okay. So we'll just click next on that. This here is just giving you the base screen setup, so you can have multiple screens in there. You can, if you know in advance that you want 3 or 4 screens, you can put them in here. But if you just leave it at the default here, we can add them later anyway. Okay, so we just click next on that, and then we get to select the design of our screen here, what we'd like our screen to look like. So we'll go for the dark screen here. And we just click next on that, and again it just gives us a confirmation window here of all of that information that we've just put in. So if we click finish on that, it'll open up our project for us here. Okay, so again, down the left hand side we've got the system and the system information. Here we've got information around the screen itself. This is our screen here. To the right hand side then we've got the icons for the different devices and stuff that we want to put in. Okay, now down the bottom here then it gives us an IP address list. So we can see here we got the GOT at 192.168.3.50. It doesn't give us an opportunity to put the PLC IP address in as we're going through the wizard there, so it just loads the default one, which is 3.250. So we need to change that. So we can click on it down here, or I'll just show you up here as well. If we scroll down through the system settings up here, you can see that we've got the GOT, the IP and all that, and then in here then is where it's got the controller setting. Remember, we selected the IQF, and again, it's just got the default in here, so we can either double click here, or we can click down below, and that allows us to come into this window here to change the IP address. So just to go back to my network map here, I'm going to connect up to PLC 1 here for this example, so it's 3.10. We want to put in here, so we just click on this, and it's just this 250, we'll change that to 10, and then click apply, and OK. So now you can see down here it's changed my IP address. Alright, so that's just a quick setup for that, the initial settings of the HMI interface. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put just a simple little system in here, just a couple of inputs and an output, just to show you what's happening with that as well. So over here, as I said, the right hand side, we've got our different devices that we can put in. We've got this list of drawings, again, that we can just create, I suppose, colored areas and stuff or whatever we wanted to make our HMI look better. And we can import pictures or anything else we might need to do there. But we're just going to go up here at the moment with a switch. So if I click on this, just on the drop down there, you can see the different types of switches we can put in. The default one that goes in is just a bit switch. If you just click on it there, and then we just bring it over here, and then just left click on the mouse and drag it so that we can size it, and that's it there then. Okay. We want to set up the details of this switch, so we'll double click on that. Because I didn't select one over on the right hand side on that drop down, I just took the default. We can select here now and say it's a bit switch. Alright, so which device? So I have a push button here connected to X0, so I'm going to tie this into X0 as well. Okay, and it's a momentary switch, so we'll pop that in there. So that's which one it is. Okay, down here there's the lamp itself, so this will change color and we can turn it on, turn it off. So it's whether we key touch state here is if we're actually touching it on the touchscreen. The bit on off is it's looking at the bit device, so the X0. Well, sorry, whatever we can pick a different bit here if we want to. But we're going to do X0 here. So what that means is that if I press the physical button I have to make X0 go high, then this will change state as well so that I can see that. Okay. And then up here then are the different tabs. So these are the basic settings. So we've got our action here. When is it going to switch? What's it going to switch? We've got the style then. So we can go in here. If you select shape here, there's a large drop down here, and there's lots of different things in here. Including there's arrows, there's pictorials. Semicircle meters. There's lots of different stuff. You'd have to go through the library. There's special parts in here. You can see these are kind of the makeup of the tower lights and stuff like that. So I'm just going to leave it as a square button for the moment. All right. Now the other things that we can have with this square button here. Once we've selected it, so we've got an on state and an off state. So the on there, you can see, just have it depressed at the moment. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is we can you can have a different shape there for each of those. The on and the off, they can be completely separate. Okay, so we text here then. So we can write text into the button as such here. Just on the right hand corner here, you see at the moment it's ticked here to say off equals on. That means it's the same text whether the button is on or off. I'm going to actually uncheck that, and I'm going to have two different ones here. So for the on, so select on here, I can go down here and write the text. I'm going to write, that's the off. I'm going to write off. So off will appear in it here. Okay, and again, you can change the size of the text, the color of the text, do some shading and bolding and stuff, or you can move it around within the button, so you can have it at the top of the button or the bottom of the button or wherever you want it. Okay. And then I'm going to select on here, and we'll just type in on there for that. So this is going to allow us to have some dynamic text in there that we can see whether the button is on or off. It's going to say that as well as actually changing the shape. Okay. Right. So what else do we have there? That'll do us in there. Okay. Then we've some other features in here that we can put in for depending on how we want to set up. So you can actually have it hiding and displaying here. So if I click on that, it'll say, right, when do I want to turn it on and turn it off? But we want ours on display all the time. Okay, so that'll do us. We have it set up here that it's connected to X0. Okay, and we're going to click OK on that. Alright, so anytime X0 is high, that'll say on. When it's not high, it'll say off. So we're going to get another one. This time I'm just going to select the bit switch as I bring it in. Okay. And again, double click on it to pull this up. I'm going to connect this one to X1. Again, I will have the bit state tied into X1 as well. The style here, what I'm going to do, I'll just pick some other style here. So we'll just go to shape here. We'll go round with this one. So round for off, and we'll go pressed in again when it's on. Okay, so it's like the button being pressed in. And what we'll change here is we'll also change the color. We'll make the two of these red. Like that. Ooh. So there we go. There. That's what we wanted. Okay, and then text. I'm going to leave the on and off the same here, and I'm going to say stop. So I'm going to use this as my stop button. Okay. And that's all I want to change here. So we click OK. And you can move it around there and make it more like a circle. It looks better. Okay. So just on the shapes here, I said if you want to create a little control panel or something, I can click on the rectangle there, and we'll put that in a rectangle. And you can set up the fill on the rectangle. You just double click on this, we get the properties. So you get the line style. Okay, and then the pattern, I have none here at the moment. The one at the bottom here is a fill. Okay, so it's gone black there. Let's make it kind of a beigey color there, like that. And then we can click OK on that. So it's kind of set it up as a little control box there. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to connect up a lamp. So this is just an output, an indicator. Again, there's bit and word lamps. We'll go with a bit lamp here. Okay, we'll just, again, left click and drag it to pop it in there. And just change the shape on it, and we'll just double click again. Okay, and we have an off state and an on state here. Again, in the shapes, we can pick lots of different shapes here for the different types of lamps. Okay, colors selectable there as well. I'm going to leave it just as the default one here for the moment. And again, the device here. Right, so we're going to connect this one up to, I'm going to go for Y6, because Y6 just on my system here will turn on the green light on the tower. So we'll see it on the tower, and we'll see it in here as well. Okay, text. We won't put any text in here. We're happy enough we don't have any text. Again, we can make this appear and disappear depending on what's happening. Okay, so that's all we need for this one, is just that. And then we click OK on that. Alright, so there's my switch there. One other thing I'm just going to pop in here is just so we can see it as a numerical display. So we can display the value from a data register, or even from counters and timers and stuff like that. So I'll just click on this one as well, and we'll just pop it in there at the bottom here. Again, double click on it to fill in the details. So what device? I'm going to do data register 5. I'll just put numbers into data register 5 on the PLC, and we can see it here. Okay, now there's lots of information we can put in here. The number size, the shape of it, the range. Okay, again, from the style point of view, we can pick different styles, what we want in here. Okay, variable width boxes, fixed width boxes, anything like that. Okay, and triggers, we want to display it or not. Okay, so we're good with that. And we'll click OK on that there. Alright, so I'm happy now. I've got my system. I've got my start stop button, or on off. I've actually put that in as dynamic text on that little button there. I got my light that's going to come on. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take that design and I want to put it onto the actual HMI unit itself. Okay, now I've set a new IP address on this. Alright, so in order for that to take effect, when I go to send it here, we're going to go to communications, and we're going to write to GOT. Right, now I need to select here how to communicate. Alright, so I have a choice of USB or Ethernet with this particular one, right, if I'm directly connected. Okay, so if I have an Ethernet cable plugged in. Sorry, just go back to this one here for a second. I have an Ethernet cable plugged in. It's in the back of this, but it's plugged in here into my switch, and it's just actually not long enough to reach my laptop here at the moment. So I'm going to connect in with a USB. Okay, I can't go through the switch here because I haven't assigned that IP address to the GOT yet, so therefore it won't find it on the network. Okay, so I'm going to directly connect via USB cable so that I can do that. Sorry, I'll just show you connecting up that USB cable there. I just grab the cable. So on this particular one, nearly kicked over the camera. This particular one, there's just a little door on the front here, and that's where the USB port is stored. We just take the cable and we shall just pop it in there like that. Okay. And we'll just go back here then. So I want the USB cable. So we'll just do a test here. That just does a communications test. So we're successfully connected. So when we click OK on that, it'll move on then to the actual write. So it's going to write the data package here, which is the file. Okay. And it's going to got right here. Okay. Now it's saying that there's already a file on it. Do you want to overwrite it? We do. Okay, and it's just saying there that while we're overwriting it, it'll stop the monitor of the system. So similar to putting a PLC into stop, essentially. Okay. So it is just communicating there now. And then it's sending the package over. Okay. Now, I've created a new package here, new setup, so it takes a little bit of time to send that over. Okay. If I was to finish writing this here now, if I was to go in and make some edits to my system, so change the color of the buttons and do things like that, the next time I send that package, it'll be a much shorter send because it essentially just sends the changes in the file as opposed to having to send the entire file over again. Okay. But maybe just while that's doing that, we might just go over here to our GXWorks. So I just want to put a little program in here that we can use to go with the HMI. So the HMI has the display. It does can interact with the buttons back and forward to the PLC, but it doesn't have any PLC program on it. The PLC program must be on the PLC itself. Okay, so I'm just going to put a simple little latch circuit in here. So we'll have X0, and then we'll have a closed X1 because my X1 is connected to an open button, and we'll output that to we said the green one into Y6. Sorry, output to Y6, and then we'll just use Y6. Sorry, oops. We'll just use Y6 here as a latch then. Y6. Okay, so just a little latch hold on circuit there. Let me just convert that. We'll just pop back to this one here. So we've completed. Okay, now when it does that write, we missed it on the PLC here, but when it does that write, it actually reboots the HMI. Okay, so the HMI goes through a little reboot, and we'll be back then to up and running. Okay. So we just click OK on that and close on that. Now I want to go back to my configuration where I'm using the Ethernet cable. So I want to disconnect that USB cable because I'm just using that for the one-off programming. So we'll just disconnect that. We'll close up the door there to make it nice and neat and tidy. Okay, I've got my Ethernet cable still plugged in here from the HMI. So we're just going to go back here to the software. We're going to do our communications. We're going to do our communications configuration here, and we're just going to change that to Ethernet. Okay, then update this with the address of the HMI we're using. All right, and then we can just do a test of the communications, and here we are successfully connected. Okay. Right, let's just go back here. Yeah, the camera's not picking up on the HMI. Okay, I've just made some adjustments to the camera and to the lighting so that we can see the screen a little bit better. The graphics are still not great on the camera, but it's much sharper than that on the HMI itself. Okay, so I also took the program that we had here and I've downloaded that to the PLC so that we can test it. So if I press the physical buttons I have here, the button connected to X0, we should see that this button changes shape and the text changes, changes color and the text changes here, and our light here should come on. Alright, and our light over here should come on as well for the PLC. So there we go, you can see it's changed colors, turned to blue and on. That light's come on and the green light's come on here. If I release the button, you'll see that going back where it was. Okay, and if I press the button connected to X1, we'll see the stop change color here, and obviously our light should go off. Alright, so that's it switching on and off. You can see it reacting to the buttons when I press them. We also set it up so that we can use it as the touch screen. So if I touch the button here, okay, I can turn it on from here, and touch that one, I can turn it off from there as well. Okay. As well as that then, our little text display area down here. So we set that up to be data register 5. So you can see a value of 0 here, 0 on the screen. And if I change the value in this here, you can see that that's reflected on the screen then as well. So we can use that, as I said, for displaying the value in a data register or a counter value or a timer value or something like that. We can hook that in there and we can display that. Okay, so we have covered just the initial project setup, setting up our HMI, selecting the right screen, setting up the IP address, doing all that kind of stuff. And we've also set it up to communicate with the PLC, giving it the PLC's IP address. And then we just created just a simple little base program with the 2 inputs and an output, and then just the display for the data as well. Okay, so that's just our initial foray into the HMI screen and how to set that up.